You're listening to The Rich Life Revolution with me, Michelle Cooper. My mission is to empower you to step into your next level of wealthy. You'll hear all the deets, a little bit of inspiration, and real life takeaways so that you can create your own rich life revolution. Let's dig in. Hey girl, hey, it's Michelle at the Rich Life Revolution, and today we're going to talk about the concept of being a lighthouse versus a tugboat. You may have heard this analogy before. This was new to me. I recently was exposed to this analogy through a friend of mine, Brent Perkins, in one of his courses that he gifted me. And he did a whole session on the concept of being a lighthouse versus a tugboat. And I had a few ahas in this, and I just wanted to share this with you because I think that it was really easy for me to see the difference and see where I was at in my life and how that was affecting me and the results that I was getting. So this concept, lighthouse versus tugboat, has really helped me to understand self-care and prioritization. And that's a really core piece of the Rich Life Revolution methodology, belief system, standards, core values, whatever you want to call it. And so the question we can ask ourselves is, are we operating as a lighthouse or a tugboat? So let's dive into what that means. So imagine a tugboat. We all know what a tugboat is, right? And what it does. It has a job to do. Tugboats pull, right, through effort. They drag. They're pushing things around, right? They work really hard. Tugboats work really hard. They move big things for sure, right? But they kind of like grind it out. They toil away the day, doing the work. Each day they have to kind of fire up their engine and go out and get the work done, right? Tugboats, they exert force. And like I said, they can make a lot of progress, but it's all through efforting. It's all through exertion, right? I feel tired just saying all of that, right? And that is absolutely not the lived experience that I desire. I don't want to have to wake up in the morning and like fire up my engine to go out and do a lot of hard work. That doesn't sound like an enjoyable day to me, right? Now, I'm not against hard work. If we want to call it hard, I don't know, that's judgment, but it's not how I want to feel. And I don't want to feel like I'm pushing. I don't want that push energy or the pulling or like efforting. I want to feel in flow, right? I want to feel that things are light and I won't say easy, but they're enjoyable. We can, for example, go to the gym and have a really heavy workout, but still have an enjoyable experience, right? So it's not about whether something's hard or easy. It's about how we experience it. Now, if we think about the lighthouse, right? A lighthouse is a light in the darkness, right? It stands firm. It guides people. It helps others navigate their way. It's there all the time. It's a constant, right? It doesn't force anything to happen. It shows the way. It guides. It maybe provides, like a light in the darkness, like inspiration, right? And that feels way more attractive to me in how I show up in the world rather than a tugboat. So if we think about how we show up, right, in our relationships, friendships, family members, with our clients, like in anything we do, we can show up as a tugboat where we have to like push people along in our journey or like convince them that our way is the right way, drag them along with us, right? Or a lighthouse, which is just saying, here's how I'm doing it. You could do it this way too, right? It's guiding, it's lighting the way, the path. It's the light in the darkness. It's helping people navigate their journey, right? That's very different energetically. than the tugboat. And I'd been the tugboat, right? For example, when I went down this path of personal development and personal evolution, to be really honest, my husband at the time, because he's my ex-husband now, so that should probably tell you a lot, but he was not on the journey with me. He was like, it's a bunch of woo-woo kind of, I don't even think he used the word woo-woo. He's like, you're like crazy lady. I don't even understand the language you're speaking right now. And I felt like I had to pull him along with me. Like this dude was coming with me, whether or not he liked it, right? Now, that doesn't work. Right? Clearly, he's my ex-husband now, right? Eventually, you're going to get to a point where like it's not enjoyable for either people, right? And I tried all these ways to get him to read books, to watch videos, to listen to what I had to say, to do things with me, to, go down this path. No, not interested, right? I was being the tugboat. I was pushing, I was pulling, I was dragging. I was like, let's do it this way. Like my way is the highway kind of thing. And didn't work. Now I wonder what would have happened if I became the lighthouse. So I'm the lighthouse now for sure, right? I am a firm believer in radical responsibility and non-judgment. So that means that I truly believe that I have no right to make people do things my way. It might not be right for them, and it might not be right for them at that time, or maybe even never right for them. And that's okay because it's right. It's the right way for me. And that's all that I'm concerned about, right? This is self-prioritization, self-care. This is standards, it's boundaries, it's all these things rolled up into one big giant awesomeness piece of candy, right? A lighthouse really doesn't need anyone to show them the way, right? And it also can't do anything but share a light, right? It can't do anything but be a light in the darkness. So it's not about convincing people that your way is the right way. It's about being the lighthouse and doing your own thing. And perhaps other people will gain inspiration from that, right? So I would ask you who you've been. Have you been the lighthouse or have you been the tugboat? And who do you want to be? And we probably, in different aspects of our lives go back and forth between the two. But this really is a question of power versus force, right? And force gets exhausted after a while. Power doesn't. Power stands strong, right? Power is the foundation, right? So I'll share with you a story that kind of touches on this that happened to me recently with a friend of mine. She was on a trip. On that trip were several people that I knew and people that she knew, people that we mutually knew, right? And on that trip were several people that were going to be coming together with me and her and a bunch of other people in an event. And from these other people, from their behavior on this trip, she was like, I don't want to go to this event now. These aren't my people and I don't like what they're doing. I don't like what they stand for. Not my people. And that's totally fine, right? So we had a conversation where it was like, is there any judgment coming up here from you? Right? Because if there's judgment that's arising, judgment usually arises from something that's unhealed in ourselves, right? Like it's poking the bear. It's like picking the scab kind of thing of something that we need to look at, right? So in this conversation with her, it did come up that perhaps she was judging them. Now, it doesn't mean that what they were doing is right or wrong, right? I don't agree. Like one of the things she was really irritated by was gossip. They were gossiping. And she really doesn't like gossip. Well, what we discovered is she doesn't like gossip because she was the victim of gossip in her earlier years. So of course she wouldn't like gossip. It poked at something in her, right? And it caused her to have an emotional reaction. So when we have an emotional reaction, that's our emotional guidance system telling us, hey, there's something to look at here, right? Something, like I always say, like a flag on the play, like stop, let's look at this. Why is there such an intense emotional reaction to this situation, right? usually something that's unhealed, right? Something to look at. It's an opportunity for growth, right? It's an opportunity for healing. It's an opportunity to move forward in a different direction, right? So whether or not she decides to go to this event, that's not the thing, right? It's to look at why was there a reaction, and why this judgment coming into play, and what's really going on here? What's the trigger, right? So when we work through some of these things, I talked to her about being the lighthouse, about how she could affect people just by who she's being, not what she's doing or not doing, or saying or not saying, but just by who she's being. And she didn't really understand that until I said, you became friends with me, not because I reached out and said, hey, I really want to be your friend. You became friends with me because you looked at who I was being, like how I was showing up, and you liked that. And you were like, I want to hang out with that person more. I wasn't doing anything. I was just being the lighthouse, right? So this is our opportunity, I think. And some really simple ways we can be a lighthouse. Well, active listening, super important, right? That we are active listeners. We can have empathy, we can be curious, and we can lead by example rather than direction. I hope you enjoyed this short little episode, Lighthouse versus a Tugboat. I'd love to hear your feedback. If you had a little aha, a gold nugget you're taking away, something that inspired you to consider this further, or, make a change in your life, slide on into my DMs, email me at hello@michellebcooper.com, or, just write a review for the podcast. Like, let me know. Reviews really help. So thanks for joining me today, and tune in next week where we have another amazing guest on the Rich Life Revolution. Thanks for hanging out with me. I hope you got at least one gold nugget today. Be sure to grab your copy of the Rich Life Revolution workbook to help you set the foundation for your next level of wealthy. Get it now at richliferevolution.ca, and I'll see you later.